SpaceX is planning the biggest stock market listing in history.
SpaceX, the rocket company founded in a warehouse in 2002 with a dream of colonizing Mars, is going public in what will be the largest IPO ever. And when it does, Musk is expected to cross a threshold no individual has ever reached.
This will be an historic week for the market. SpaceX, ticker SPCX, is going to make its debut on the Nasdaq on Friday.
A few days from now, the biggest IPO in financial history could hit the market. Yes, I'm talking about SpaceX IPO. But investors aren't talking about rockets, they are talking about why some of Wall Street's biggest bank reportedly had to buy Elon Musk's AI chatbot before they could participate in the deal. At first glance, that sounds ridiculous, right? Why would institutions like Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley agree to buy something like that? The answer reveals a much bigger story. Because the IPO isn't really about rockets anymore, it's about how Elon Musk quietly transformed SpaceX from a space company into a technology empire. Yes, empire. And in the process, he may have created one of the most complex corporate structures Wall Street has ever seen. To understand what's happening, we need to go back a few years when SpaceX started as a rocket company. Then came Starlink. What began as a side project to provide satellite internet has now become the company's biggest business, generating more than $11 billion in annual revenue. But Musk didn't stop there. In 2022, he bought Twitter for $44 billion. Then came XAI, his artificial intelligence company. And eventually, something unusual happened. These businesses started getting stitched together. Suddenly, the company preparing for the world's largest IPO wasn't just launching rockets, it was also running a social media platform, building AI models, selling satellite internet, and constructing some of the world's largest AI data centers. And this is where things get interesting. Reports suggest that when banks lined up for a role in the IPO, Musk expected them to support his broader ecosystem. That meant buying Grok subscriptions and spending money on X. The question is why? Because SpaceX is no longer being sold just as a rocket company, it is being sold as a bet on AI connectivity and space infrastructure all at once. But there was one major problem, and that was debt. So thing is, Twitter and XAI came with billions of dollars of liabilities attached to them. Before heading to public markets, SpaceX reportedly refinanced nearly $20 billion of debt through a massive bridge loan arranged by Wall Street banks. The move dramatically reduced borrowing costs and could save close to $1 billion in annual interest expenses. But there's a catch. A significant portion of the IPO proceeds may be used to repay that debt. In other words, some of the money raised from public investors could immediately go towards cleaning up the balance sheet of the company. And the numbers reveal why this matters. See, in 2025, Starlink generated more than $11 billion in revenue. The launch business added another $4 billion, but the AI division reportedly lost over $6 billion as it poured money into GPU clusters and massive computing infrastructure. The company generated nearly $7 billion in operating cash flow, yet it spent more than $20 billion. That's a cash burn of almost $14 billion in a single year. Then there are the questions investors are still trying to answer. Reports suggest that 11 original co-founders of XAI have left the company. Questions have also been raised about the structure and duration of a major AI infrastructure contract that plays an important role in the company's growth story. Yet despite all these concerns, Wall Street still wants in, because opportunities like this don't come around very often. If SpaceX lists at a valuation close to $2 trillion, it could immediately become one of the most valuable companies on the planet. Which brings us back to the original question, which is why are banks willing to play by Musk's rules? Because they aren't just betting on a rocket company, they are betting on Elon Musk's vision of combining space, AI, internet connectivity, and software into a single empire. The only question over here is whether this is the birth of the next great technology conglomerate or one of the most ambitious financial experiments in the modern corporate history. Let me know what your thoughts are about this in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.